episode 19 of the Hangzhou Spark. We're still trying to figure out what they're doing. I'm still trying to figure out what this offseason is like, because I think my answers have been completely cleared. Kaluge is going to the Atlanta Reign. What do you think about that, Sans?
I think that is the most real announcement this season during the offseason.
You've been baited once, but not again. Everyone give a round of applause to our newest tank, Kaluge. That's going to be so good. Like, they have Hawk and Kaluge, and they even have Dia. That's going to be such a great DPS lineup and tank duo. I mean, we're still playing 6v6, right? This is such a wild off-season. Thank you all for being here. I'm glad that most of you have checked us out over from Twitter at the Ecopoint podcast. Do make sure to like and subscribe. We'd love to make more content like this. We actually do have some real news and some factual announcements. These are sadly not true.
What, they're not?
Sorry. Even Smurf was actually being signed by Bullsack Esports. That's not a real team. That's a media house. They're just chucking out the content.
Damn, I thought they were going to be the 21st team.
Yeah, how do I know? Wrong font. I didn't even notice there was a font. That's very sad to see. And then Bullsack Esports suddenly has a little bit of a Sigma-like meltdown, talking to himself for a couple of messages. Yeah, this is esports. Raiders versus the Broncos.
When the Outlaws traded Smurf for Dante?
They did? Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that was that happened. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it was like
season 2.
I think it was 4 years ago.
Whoa.
From the academy team.
From San Francisco Shock, no? No doubt.
Yeah, making the trade in 2019.
That was clearly the play right there. So,
I wonder
no
who
College, no Smith, and Dia. This all looks so inconsistent. You can see it in hindsight that these aren't right, but ATL, Rain with 2 N's, Ballsack Esports, and then you had Rain with an L. That's an L. That's an L if you believe this, like I did. So, remember to check your facts. Make sure they're verified with the blue ticks. I should know because I'm now the CEO of Twitter. And I've just made sure that everyone is verified, making Overwatch League announcements. So don't forget it. Don't forget who you're talking to here. This is not Atlanta Reign. And it's not the official account.
Yes. Should we get into the actual announcement?
I really want to get off this right now. Let me get off this. I'll follow the real one. The real one with 20 followers.
Real.
Still the wrong one. Damn it. Damn it. Atlanta Ray with the check mark. There we go.
If I can.
So here's how.
In discussion topics.
That's right. Our discussion topics, we've had this for some time, but I really wanted to show that we are very happy to see that Cucumber, Kaluge, aka Kaluge, Dia, and Smurf are currently not actual announcement posts. Don't get fooled.
Smurf is going to the Philadelphia Fusion. That's just common knowledge.
It's just everybody should know that Fixer was the sacrifice to be able to bring in a goat. The goat of Smurf.
I mean, Fixer's certainly the goat of Korean Ajaxing.
Certainly.
Against the Guangzhou Charge.
Let's recap.
Enough of that.
After the Dallas Fuel won the championship, we've had quite the insane off-season. It's very common to have the facts, but the truth is what sets us free. Atlanta
it's been very crazy.
have had it pretty crazy, haven't they, Atlanta?
Yeah, it's been very crazy ever since the Hangzhou Spark became the champions of APAC.
Oh, the champions of APAC? I think that's a little bit of high praise there that I should really feel guilty about.
On a technical scale, I mean, they are.
They are.
Playoffs are all that matters, according to some fan bases.
Mm-hmm. So these eyes we've actually said goodbye
I mean-
to a whole bunch of Atlanta Reign players.
Yeah, I believe in discussion topics, if this can be shown on stream, Atlanta Reign has really. Shall I share my screen, or shall I just?
Yeah, I'd suggest you'd like to share
Or are
your
you
screen.
gonna share your screen for it? Yeah. All right. Okay, it's not. Okay, that's not working.
No,
The
it's not.
Atlanta Reign. Fucking. I need speech therapy, man. Nero, Venom, Speedily, OG, Ultraviolet, and Kai have been departed. They're
right.
all gone. They're no longer playing for the team. As well as Danny and Silence, the assistant coaches, leaving, and Brad or Sefi moving over to a analyst role.
You are indeed correct. Brad, the former head coach, is now a remote analyst to help with Gator's transition to the head coach.
Yeah.
Gator.
Gator is now moving to head coach position. What the fuck?
You want to hear the Discord call? We've got it publicly revealed.
Hey, what's this call about?
I think.
Yo, what's going
I mean,
on?
I think
Sorry, it's a little
everyone's.
bit awkward. This is supposed to be
Well,
from
not
the head
everyone,
coach. I mean,
obviously,
you don't
but
really
like
on this.
most people have heard the
Okay,
Discord
my
call.
bad.
You know, it's right there.
Ready to go?
It's all. I mean, it's certain. That's certainly something.
That was the announcement, I'd say, of all time.
Yes, it certainly is one of the announcements of all time. And they managed to receive Stalker and Lip trading from the Seoul Dynasty and the Shanghai Dragons.
Indeed. I've scrolled through this enough times. It's insane. This is the new DPS lineup. That was done through trades, so you're not going to get many announcements like this for a good couple of weeks. So for them to reveal their hand this early...
September 2nd is actually when the free agency market opens up. Unless it gets delayed.
That's just coming around the corner. So originally we were meant to have these announcements for more players last week, but due to delays with China...
Yeah, it was supposed to be the 19th. But,
You're right.
delays happened. Life happened.
Yeah, so we got that confirmation from the Overwatch League's commercial development team. I believe that was John Spector who made that confirmation that yes, it's not going to happen as early as we intended, largely because when China, NetEase, who previously owned the licenses to Blizzard games, including Diablo, not Diablo Immortal, the mobile game, but the Diablo series, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch, to name the big ones. They no longer have that license, and to renew it, it's up to Blizzard to find another sale with another Chinese company that can help with that. People are leaning towards Bilibili on making that choice, or NetEase.
I think so.
Sorry, NetEase wouldn't be the right choice because that would be going back on their word.
No, because that would be
silly.
On the license agreement.
By the way,
well.
we're just gonna take it back, just like Elon Musk tried to take back some of his former employers. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work out, is it? You already kicked them off. Why should they be trusted to come back when they expect to do even more work, take less sleep for the same pay? I don't think that would work either at a management level for Blizzard.
Who knows? Could always happen.
Yes.
Still crazy pickups.
Crazy. Lip from Shanghai Dragons after winning 2021 season on their team, and then Seoul Dynasty, who peaked at the kickoff clash, but they've still notoriously had very good DPS throughout Seoul Dynasty's entire 2022 season. So what are your thoughts on these two and Gator, who's hopefully going to shell out this team? And I believe in their current roster, they still have Hawk, and they still have Vigilante.
Assuming Hawk and Vigilante stay with Lip and Stalker, that is a crazy core. I mean, say what you like about Gator as a coach. With some teams, such as allegedly the 2019 Vancouver Titans, just coaching themselves. You know, if the Atlanta Reign, players are in a position where they have to do that, they're still going to be like top 3. They've just got the talent to like carry them through. And assuming they get like, I know the rumor was debunked as like not official, but if they could still like land their fingers on Chorong, this would be a scary roster. It would actually be. It could potentially be like championship winning, just based on like lip alone and seeing how, compared to last year's Shanghai Dragons, I would dare to say that this is an upgrade.
Well, I'll save it for when we cover what's left of Shanghai, which is not a lot. It'll be worth discussing how their actual season turned out in relative to their previous
get to that
success.
when we run down the alphabetical order.
Okay.
The Boston Uprising is written as "but nobody came."
Nobody.
You love a good Undertale reference.
From
Everybody
yours
on
truly.
Boston is gone. Crab Raving Gage. Nobody came.
So throughout all of November, it was the complete husk of being shelled out. But even through the mid-season, we did have Coach Laurie falling to grace, leaving the team. Ashcroft takes over, and suddenly there's been some modest improvements to the team throughout the last half of the season.
I would say so. Yes, there was some sort of improvements, but to be honest, I actually like this decision to like just release the entire squad, or else like you're just building around this core of, let's face it, mediocrity throughout like yet another season. And if the Boston Uprising are looking to make it past that level in the pecking order that they have been in for the past 4 years, I think this is absolutely the right decision to make. Maybe you could have kept like Faith or Punk or both of them. The right decision to make. In the end, if you want to go that extra mile, I think this is a good choice by the management.
So very true. So what you had was Mag, Victoria, Valentine, and Seeker, and Punk, Crimzo, MCD. It's such a fat, stacked roster of just talent that existed on the Boston Uprising.
I mean, talent is one way of putting it, considering they managed to make it into the Overwatch League. I'm noticing that you conveniently left out Itzel when mentioning talent.
No, I think somebody interrupted me purely by coincidence and circumstance.
Damn, I wonder who. How unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I think if you're Robert Kraft, you're still wanting to see an actual championship title come out of this team, and also some chances to own some home stands where they can market the team a lot better in person.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Nixon could do it, why not Boston next season, if we ever go back to home stands again? Because currently I don't think this team has managed to eke out much more success than their debut season, and that was with Striker, and that was with Gamsu, who's returned to League of Legends. So this team has a story that you can still rebuild on, but I don't think you're going to get anything that's in the wild nearly as close to getting Striker back on and then finding out he wasn't a good fit with Huck.
Do you think Striker's coming back for the third time?
Yes. Striker being on this team for a third time sounds really, really senseless and short-minded. But you have to understand, if Huck was the main kind of conflict here, and the coaching is kind of going on a clean slate to the point that Ashcroft is no longer on this team, it's now Pre, who's the general manager, I think he might have better terms with a new manager. All the previous members that made up this roster are so far gone The identity needs to come back, and it comes with Striker. But it's not only Striker who can do it. I think if they get new players that is committed to signing before anyone else, from the likes of Overwatch Contenders Korea, or what remains of some of the best talent, it might be good.
Do you think Pre just brings over the entire Washington Justice Corps? Like, as a reunion? Or, like, just only players formerly from the Washington Justice?
Do we know what kind of talent Pre can bring up onto the field?
I wouldn't know. I just know that, like, judging from the past
Justice
2 years
reunion,
on the Washington Justice,
you know,
like, I know that Pre can get, he can get good players. And honestly, this team looks like it's trying to win now. Like, granted, there's no players, but for some teams, that can be a good thing. I genuinely think that is a good thing for the Boston Uprising. You know, no players, clean slate. You can just build from the ground up, and like just maybe have a season of being like middling instead of, I don't know, below average. You know, like last season.
Yeah, but I just wonder if
and then rebuild on the pieces that you've built from next season into season 7.
Yes. So do you think they're going to go back to
win a title?
More NA players? I think is what they need to go for. But if they really want to win, it's going to be another round of top Korean talent that he can unionize again from the Washington Justice back into Boston.
Possibly.
I mean, the only difference.
I do see this team going mixed. I definitely see this team going for like a mixed route.
This team going mixed seems to be the identity that I have in mind, but in reality, it could just be another all-Korean roster that Pre is more intimately in tune to set up. But he'll need a head coach to help with that, and he is the general manager. That doesn't imply he can't coach. He probably is going to put someone very talented and responsible for that to make this a solid team.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's all speculation. They could be 20th.
Yeah, speaking of teams that have no players on their roster, are you ready to move on to the next?
Well, in the discussion topics, the next team. Oh, actually, I think I can.
I'll beat you to it. Yes, you can.
Go live. Let me know if this is, showing up well.
It is fantastic. So you've got a little overlay of me. Drag it to the right, see if that makes a difference. Oh no, that'll do. Yeah, enlarge and drag to the right. Yeah, that's it.
Fair enough.
Uprising, nobody came. The fact that I don't see Chengdu on this list kind of sums up to me how much we got to talk about the Chengdu Hunters this season. They still have, technically, and in much the same way as other teams in Asia, barring Shanghai and Spark, Jinmu, Leave, Nisha, Gaga, Monk, and Dicey are still technically on the roster this off-season.
Still technically. There's some rumors that we'll get to which seem pretty solid, according to the sources that have been graced upon us. But, for now, there's really nothing much to talk about with Chengdu Hunters. We don't know who's staying. We don't know who's going. We don't know if they're trying or not. They could be bringing back Amon and having another season at 15th to 16th, just having fun, having a ball.
Having a ball. If they can have a ball on this team.
They can have a ball on this team. But for now,
they already have a fantastic player in Gaga. Let's just, out of curiosity.
Yeah, but maybe Gaga goes to, I don't know. Maybe Gaga even goes to the Spark or the Charge. Maybe sees that Chengdu just don't want to win, and he does want to win, and maybe he goes somewhere that his talent
propose X-Ray would be an appropriate replacement, don't you think, for Chengdu Hunters? They want to still keep Chinese talent.
X-Ray would be an appropriate replacement if Chengdu stayed all Chinese. 800 would be an appropriate replacement. There's plenty of talent. All around like the Chinese contenders scene. So, Silver Free would be a brilliant replacement. I'm gonna stop memeing. Dallas Fuel. All of the Dallas Fuel players are in free agency.
You can't even search Silver Free's historical stats because he's not a current player.
Yeah.
Silver Free has been robbed, but he also is definitely a tank player on the Overwatch League.
Silver Free is definitely one of the tank players of all time.
it's still trying to fight its hardest. If you're looking on screen, yeah, just a little tiny little bubble. It's still loading.
For our audio listeners, we've got a huge loading screen trying to find out about Silver Free's existence and within the Overwatch League.
Some say he actually played a video game called Overwatch.
The Dallas Fuel has all their players in free agency. Like, all players, all coaches, they're up for grabs. We don't know who stays, we don't know who goes. This is still speculation, but there could be like a lot of these players up for grabs. Like, what would we think if the Dallas Fuel just won the championship and then built from scratch and built another like 2019-2020 roster that was just middling again?
I mean,
finding so much success.
It is so much harder to maintain a top quality roster like San Francisco in years past because there is a lot that happens outside of their control and a lot of pressure as well from other teams knowing this is the same players from last year. So in terms of how to adapt, what kind of matchups and their play styles look like as a championship team, they're going to be duly critiqued, analyzed inside and out, depending on the manager or the team coach. So it would be more of a risk to keep everybody on their current Dallas Fuel iteration, as successful as they are. They are more keen, and Mike is also very keen in explaining that by putting them all into free agency, that was by default, because it's been 2 years and their contracts were 1 year plus another year when they reached the end of 2021. So it's not the case that he could just force them to sign another contract with them and they can make it a cheaper deal. That's never good for the players. And the orgs would much rather keep them on board for another season at or below cost. But if their market value is higher, each and every one of them could be sent onto a different team to stand out much more and make the whole league as a whole more competitive across multiple teams. I think that's far more valuable. A lot of pies for Thanksgiving. Definitely a lot of updates. This one here, I'm just going to mute you for about the good minute and a half or 90 seconds of this video. It's just a voice dialogue with no captions explaining a bit more on the Dallas Fuel roster. So give that the time that it needs, and we'll see how we go.
Hey everyone, I just put out a few tweets a moment ago about the Dallas Fuel roster, and so I just wanted to provide a little bit more clarity. After the World Championship win a week ago, effectively a few of our players became unrestricted free agents, and while we recognize that the team is such a unit, we decided to let all players, even the players we had options for their contract in 2023 on, we decided to let all of them go into unrestricted free agency in case the team, really wanted to stay together. And while we, of course, would love to bring the team back to Dallas, we also recognize that because of the caliber of the team, the opportunities that they all might have individually could be greater. And so with that said, we, of course, will attempt to put together the best roster again for 2023. And we hope that that roster includes many of the players that we have now. And so I just wanted to clarify that we're not just abandoning the team. We're going to attempt to re-sign, some, if not all, of the team for next season and put together the best Dallas Fuel roster we can. And so I just wanted to provide that clarity to you all and let you all know that negotiations will be ongoing with the players and our staff. and we hope to bring in another world title next year. So just wanted to give you guys that clarity. The players are able to talk with all organizations, and that includes ourselves. So
I'm
hope to
unmuted.
see another world championship home in Dallas next year. Thanks.
I don't know if you're talking or not, but I cannot hear a word.
I did. Thanks though for giving us a little harmonica squeal mid-ending.
no problem.
I guess that makes up
I
for
love
accidentally
Weezer.
cutting you off early. That was my mistake.
Quite
That's
all right.
on me, my man. So in essence, Mike Ruffalo, the owner of the Dallas Fuel, has
He's a
been
good
made
general
aware.
manager.
Yeah, that he's doing it for the best of the players because
Yeah,
the players matter
putting the
just as
players
much.
first.
Don't keep them in a
Yes.
prison or jail cell that will rot their potential. If they can be sent out where more potential is given to them and more opportunities are waiting from other competing teams who might
We
be able
could
to
see
give them a shot.
Fearless to the Hangzhou Spark. All right,
We could see to Boston Uprising, maybe the entire Element Mystic roster, which is still what we're gonna call it.
Okay.
Sparkle, Doha, and Hanman.
Other conversation topics, if we're ready to move on.
We are. I'm good for Dallas.
Alphabetically, Florida Mayhem have released Hydron, Exy, Animo, and Surma Jed, and they've extended the contracts of Checkmate, Someone, and RuPaul, according to Albert Yez' Twitter post. You know, it's good that he's been transparent about the players that have been released. You know, and to be quite honest, like I agree with the decisions that he's made. You know, I mean, Hydron is kind of inevitable because there's a certain reunion going on that we'll get to later. That's kind of out of his control, out of Mayhem's control,
In the
Albert's
pursuit
control,
of is in
Hydron's
the pursuit
control.
of Hydron's
Yeah,
much needed
Hydron's
reunion.
Hydron's not being dragged to another team against his will.
That's,
as far as
that's
I
a great
know,
way to put
at
it.
least.
I would like to think that this is a must-do, and they don't
Yes.
want to lose this chance while it's still very early into the Overwatch 2 generation of this game. While these guys have still got it popping.
Exactly.
Day one, I don't even know if the coaching from
Oh shit! Yeah,
Florida
day one.
is something that you need to be disappointed about, because I think this is something they could have kept along with Gunba. Gunba otherwise is still on the roster, and that's probably the best
Gunba's
decision
still on the
to
roster as far as I can see, because that is a good decision. Gunba has turned a roster that, no offense, realistically should have been bottom 5, and turned it into an above-average team. And I've got respect for that.
That is part of the course when you hear Gunba leading this roster. It doesn't
He
matter
made-
what region, he can put them all in a good line
Yeah.
to make them really stand
found-
out.
He found a bunch of diamonds in the rough, and he unroughed them. Respect.
Now, who does that leave on? Sorry, I
that-
don't want to make the
on-
pun. Clearly, I did by accident. Florida
On
now
Mayhem,
has
Checkmate, Someone, and RuPaul have been extended. Now, Someone, I completely agree with. Like, even if they just keep him for, like, I don't know, trade value, you know, that is still a very valuable piece to have for any team. Checkmate has gone on a Hadi-like redemption arc this season and proved himself to be at least, like, able to punch above his weight when it comes to playing against other damaged players. And RuPaul is not bad for, like, a double flex support meta. Like, he is a very solid backup. So these are all, like,
giving RuPaul a chance. I think there are many people who are thinking, if you're gonna like wholesale remove a lot of players, why does RuPaul stay? I think he sticks around for a very good reason. He's developed nicely with this team, and with a bit more time, you know, like a Hadi moment with Checkmate, you can get a RuPaul moment next year if the season permits.
Maybe. RuPaul
can
having a
say-
RuPaul moment.
A RuPaul moment. The components of a RuPaul moment is that he eventually pops off at just the right moment when you really need him. And from
can't
my
wait.
lessons, that works out pretty well half the time. Not because of him personally. I think the situation vary with the top teams that he gets put up against with his team. But I think it could work out. I think it's greatly underestimated what RuPaul can do if you give him more time on the same roster.
I am very excited to watch him gap Violet.
Yeah, that's the day. That's the day that we truly see the fear that RuPaul brings on the Florida Mayhem 2023.
Exactly. You heard it here first. Shall we
Absolutely
move
did.
on?
Who's next? The Guangzhou Charge.
The Hangzhou Spark, baby.
Somebody has been blacklisting the Guangzhou Charge. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah, man. Guangzhou still haven't made any action yet.
No, so I can understand.
Wait. No, wait. They actually did.
Wait,
Krong
is a
retired.
rookie. Why did they let go of a rookie? The rookie from 2020. Krong, my rookie.
Gone. A little tragic, I'll admit, but it was also to be expected, considering the fact that they've got Piggy, and Piggy has been objectively performing better this season. Should Guangzhou keep Piggy? Yeah, probably. Should Guangzhou keep a majority of their roster as it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they should. Absolutely.
Does it not look like they are just like a side grade from what Chengdu Hunters could have had, but they couldn't afford to keep as many of their own Chinese talent? Guangzhou needing an option other than looking for those contenders career teams.
I would go as far as to say that Guangzhou is more of an upgrade. They're more flexible. Given the fact that Piggy has a middling Winston, I would say, at least in comparison to a majority of the league. That they've got an equal support line, and I think the DPS line is more flexible than Chengdu's.
I mean, also think about their support line. You've had Xerneas recently playing over Farway on the Zen.
Yeah, Xerneas has popped off.
Farway's, something that has been very spectacular to watch, because I think this is still, in China generally, broadly speaking, in previous iterations of different Chinese teams, support's probably one of the more lacking roles, on top of very distinguished tanks like you have with Gu Shui from the Chinese region. So it's, we don't have any tanks yet from China on Guangzhou's roster. It's only a matter of time that we can see more talent sort of sprout upwards if, and it's a big if, we still have Chinese teams in China with Chinese players. This is currently the best roster that you can have if you're going to fly them over to Korea.
Personally, I'd like to assume that we do, but we never know what's happening. But the league has been faced with this sort of stuff before. Not stuff quite as major as this, but we've been faced with some stuff that's similar, and they've managed to make it work.
Yeah, I do believe in their operations teams.
Yeah,
in the form of Eddie Ming.
Yeah, logically, the contract between Blizzard and NetEase should be they should write up a new contract and allow Chinese citizens to continue enjoying Overwatch, or playing Overwatch. I don't know how many people actually enjoy playing. I enjoy playing, but
it's a very large component of the Overwatch League viewership. It's not counted by many, so that's why Overwatch League was always going to look lesser, because if you scale it with the rest of esports, China does bring in a lot for every other video game's spectator viewership numbers.
Exactly.
They're just not counted. And if you don't count them, Overwatch League has to understand this is almost a third, if not 40%, of the entire viewership that's going to not have a game to support with local players. They're just going to be following whatever's available on stream, but to the extent that they can't even play the game that's being advertised.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised we managed to make conversation out of a team that released one player from the bench.
This is what happens when you have a profile picture of this team. That's just it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Hangzhou Spark, baby. I
Hangzhou
regret
Spark,
nothing.
baby.
You regret nothing because it's all
I
worked
regret
in your
absolutely
favor.
nothing. I've been spreading this propaganda since last year's off-season, and despite the fact that they released Kiriko God Teru, I'm only just starting to believe. You know, that like the propaganda is only just started to be spread. Like, I've only spread it across like one slice of toast, and it's about to be spread across a whole damn bakery. You know, like they released their coaching staff in Changun, Miro, and Neko, which Changun is a controversial coach, to say the least. So releasing him is quite large when you see that there is the rumored signing of former Chengdu Hunters head coach Rui, who has proven himself to be a brilliant coach when he went to work on the 2021 season.
Definitely.
And-
So it's still not official, but there has been some talks of this gentleman, known for his many times at the Chengdu
Yes.
Hunters camp, leading a very successful Chinese team. Relatively speaking, they've done some awesome stuff in the past, and it's just only in their faced against some of the many mighty giants in the rest of the world do I think that Rui has a chance to rebuild and build a stronger team than he ever could from Chengdu onto the Hangzhou Spark. It's just, what kind of components do you add to it? It already looks pretty good, but they also lost Teru, who looked amazing during the off-season. The postseason playoffs.
Teru is one of the best sorry, that is an insult. The best Kiriko in the world.
You bet.
But you just don't know how his other heroes look. You know, maybe you want someone who's just a little more well-rounded. Architect, that's kind of expected. But Benar as well. Like, surely there's got to be some sort of like upgrade if they're releasing who I would argue to be like one of the most consistent off-tank players in the APAC region last season. You know, Benar is a highly solid pickup for like any team that's like looking for him. So maybe Hangzhou does go full Chinese with these departures, which would be a bit of a shame to lose Alpha Yi. But other than
Irony
that,
is not a big miss, even though it's
Irony would be nice for double flex support, but other than that, you know, the Hangzhou Spark support line has been kind of a hole within their team, you know?
Yeah, they were punching up above their weight a number of times to me. So this roster's support line was not their weakest component, but it certainly did look like it was a compromise, where Teru looking fantastic for this roster. He just plays as Kiriko, and if you see his content, if you see his Twitch, for the love of God, please learn Kiriko the way that he plays Kiriko. It's not a must, but it's a need to find how to play her ultimate properly, and for Kiriko's blades to be used, with such precision like a DPS. Neko was trying to do that, to complement it, but I guess he was on Lucio, so no, you weren't going to get that. Not when he's been as a coach for the past 2 seasons between Guangzhou and Hangzhou.
I mean, learn how to play Teru plays Kiriko is good advice, but playing Kiriko the way Teru plays Kiriko is a whole nother like piece of advice to give to players below Diamond, you know.
True. They weren't. It's about the critical analysis, not so much copy him, not copy, but to get an idea of how he moves and his kind of.
I could use the free SR, so yeah, do play Kiriko that way.
Okay, play Kiriko, just don't fall off the map. I mean, no, if you do, please do it all the time.
Yeah, man. Before we move on from a Hangzhou Spark, there is a slight rumor that if the Rui signing does go forward, that they're going to be seeking to sign Chengdu Hunter's superstar Leave, which would
Leave
be
and Pineapple. It was Shy as a trio.
that would be absolutely massive, or even just Leave and Shy together.
While Alfie is still on this
realistically,
roster, I could see this be a hybrid career Chinese team with some real star power.
Honestly, as much as I love Alpha Male Yi, I could just see this team going full Chinese and punching over to championship aspirations. That is very much a possibility. That they've sort of had a bit of a test year, to sort of stick their toes in the water for who's gonna work and who isn't, and just rebuild around Shy, and he'll bring all the success that you need. You've dipped your toes in the water. You can see who's going to bring you success and who isn't. So just bring in all of this massive abundance of Chinese talent, and you just win.
Win. As Chengdu 2021
more simple.
didn't manage to achieve it, I think Hangzhou could. They've probably looked closer before Guangzhou and Shanghai.
Yeah.
Just get your trophies in. You can earn all the stable money you like being in top 4, top 6, but the championship is long overdue for Hangzhou and Chengdu. They certainly have the potential.
Definitely. Shall we move on?
Moving on. What does our little chat say?
We've got the good old Houston Outlaws with the departures of 2 bench boys and Creative as well. Sorry, I mean Lep Doge and Creative, as well as I think it was assistant coach Ho Chi Lee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ho Chi Lee. He made his little journey 2021 to Toronto to Outlaws. And
yes.
I gotta say, this is probably the greatest that he's looked as a coach. It's not obvious what he does as a component of his coaching on Houston or Toronto, but it's probably the most improvement he's worked with. Say that again?
He can't be good enough to stay.
No, sadly not. I mean, we could say the same about Deepay, right, on the Vancouver Titans.
Yeah, we could say the same about Coach Moon on the Shanghai Dragons.
I didn't want to bring this up until I realized there was a good chance to mention Coach Moon.
What a fraud.
What a fraud. We're not in Shanghai yet. I'm not ready to bring it up. Houston Outlaws.
Yeah,
we'll
wait.
Great choice to stick with Dante for another season, because San Francisco couldn't even hold him on for his versatility.
Yeah, man.
Outlaws know what they're doing.
He's just too good for a shock.
It was just enough for Piggy to, fall out of the Houston Outlaws, which is stink.
Although nobody on the Outlaws is particularly guaranteed, but there's been a rumor floating around that no team is interested in Dante and that he might go next season without being signed and possibly retire, which would be tragic because he's a decent player.
Yeah,
but
what else is he gonna do after Overwatch League? Minecraft?
Possibly. I mean, if you can't win Overwatch League, you might as well win the Skyblock League.
No doubt, I'm not joking. He would top.
But he would top that. There's always the chance. There's always the tweet from Pelican where he says, "I'm done," after Piggy was released. So there's always a very high possibility that he leaves, or everyone could stay, everyone can go. It's all speculation.
Yes, indeed.
Nobody knows.
Nobody.
But saying they rebuild upon the core of Dante, Merritt, Lastro, and Pelican, That's a good core to work with.
Heck,
got,
I just don't think you sell Lastro because his potential has always been visible in previous years, but those seasons haven't really kept up for him. He just needs more. He wants more from his tanks and DPS.
Yeah, I gotta say, I from what I saw of Lastro's main support, it was very hot and cold. So maybe just move him back onto flex support, and if you've got the money to spare, then get another main and flex support and just keep Lastro as like a little bench warmer. If they've got the money to spare, of course. If not, then you can just sell him. Really.
Where do you see?
To be honest.
No, hold on. No, that's former player. Currently, Jake is still on the team. So if there's anything of an identity lost here because they don't have Lep and Doge or creative on this team, they're fine. I think they're holding up the identity very well with the main case.
What are the Outlaws going to do without Doge?
What could you do? They have one of every role except for tank currently on the lineup.
Man.
Yeah, they have not a single tank player.
On the Outlaws. Although I say that jokingly,
could be a thing. You never know.
I say that jokingly. There was apparently a leak where it was told that Smurf was trialing for the Houston Outlaws as one of the teams to try for.
Yeah, that'd make a really great thumbnail. I think just Soul Dynasty just putting poor Smurf into the trash. That's just how it feels.
Are you referring to the Outlaws as the trash?
Not necessarily. It's going out of... He's been ejected from APAC to be put onto a NA team. So trash can might be an exaggeration, if that's what you thought I was implying.
Yeah, man. Shall we...
No harm in going on? What's going on in the next team?
London Spitfire. Goatco, Shax, and Khan have been released, while Backbone, Hadi, Admiral, Landon, and coaches Christopher and Commander X have been extended. Now, realistically, this is sort of good. This is sort of what I saw happening throughout the offseason. Granted, as good as Poco is, he didn't really get much playtime over Chaddy. Chaddy's just gonna get his way into the game. He's just that good. He's gonna have a seat just like reserved for him. Well, a seat would be an understatement. A throne reserved for his MVP nominee, Rollstar, and Dennis Hawelka award-winning, crown.
Oh, without a doubt. Props to Hardy for that award.
Yeah, big props to him. And I hate having a stutter. I can really see him being the solo tank for this team, which he kind of practically was, given his playtime over Poco, which I can't really blame the team for. It's brought him enough success. Why not make him full time? Something that's not mentioned here, though, is that Sparker is still a free agent. I most likely see him staying, but if he doesn't, there is, a
couple of teams, but still not a whole lot when it comes to EU talent being transferred over to. Holy shoot! Have you looked at that? First.
Oh yeah,
throughout the British Hurricanes' lifetime, right? I'll never forget. Yeah, this is why he's still here. He's still got it.
You look at that Wikipedia page, and he's the GOAT. You don't see Prophet with this many titles.
Who on earth would turn down a chance to re-sign this man, especially with the much more redeeming feature of being in top 6?
Apparently, London want to re-sign him, but they're allowing Sparker to dip his toes into free agency, which is fair enough. But
pick this man up in You want
Man
some more
wants to
diversified
explore all of
talent.
his. He wants to explore all his opportunities.
Yeah. And while he's
I
still...
can't really say I blame him for. If the
Yeah.
Shock want to pay him like $1 million, then I'd take it.
Yeah, seize the capital. Get him cheaper at $1 million.
Exactly.
All right, was there anything else that I could add to that? Not really. I think you kind of summed it
Well,
up. This is a pretty rock-solid team. Could they go another year as is?
I mean,
Probably.
other than it being a little bit of a ball ache that they released Spilo in exchange for signing Khan, only to release Khan after the season ends. I think that's
Ammo
a
and
little
Landon
bit
was just a little tight, It's very hard to try to stretch out that kind of roster to even mix and match. And Landon just works out well because he's still in the US where the team is currently based when they do play their games. That's how they've looked so good because they're not on ping. And that is a fact of the matter that if they still continue to play London Spitfire in the US to minimize the ping differential for EU teams, sadly, this is going to be the only EU team. So you have to ask, is it possible to even field more EU players next season?
Maybe. One signing that I can, weirdly enough, one signing that I could probably see as quite a wild card prediction is Lethal, formerly from Shoes Money Crew, and I believe he's on Redbirds now. I think from what I've seen from my minuscule knowledge in the weaker regions of contenders, he has been a very, very solid player. Quite flexible to play certain projectile heroes as well as the hit scan heroes. And I think he would be a very solid backup, maybe even a starter for London Spitfire. But other than that sort of wild card prediction, you keep this very tight core along with your coach of the year. I think this season of success is only just starting for London. Next season is going to be great.
They have the opportunity to start taking risks now. They have won enough in revenue from last season in placements across multiple tournaments that I gotta admit, if they were to take any risk, if I could ask if they could do something for me, just as a favor, just so that I would honestly be a big Spitfire fan for next season, is a very far-fetched and very unlikely signing. If they can bring the console GOAT on Farah, Yizin, onto London Spitfire. Yizin, put him on the bench. I've seen him notoriously being benched and not being able to play his main. Put him on the Farah duty for London Spitfire. He would be an icon for EU, but by extension, all of Saudi Arabia. And we just need another one of those representatives again, just like our fella in former Florida Mayhem duty.
I would love that.
Yeah, Sir Majed is still a great rep. Don't get me wrong. Sir Majed, you can put in
might not get him too far, but
He isn't. Yeah, they're not too far away.
It would be funny. And I'm all for, making, questionable decisions in the name of comedy.
If Dallas Fuel can sign XQC, if Philadelphia Fusion can sign Chipsa, what is stopping London other than financial reasons and because they need a fully balanced team? Can they not get Yizin on London Spitfire?
Take notes, Nuki.
I'm looking at you, Nuki. You're awesome. And, I mean it quite literally if you could do wonders for me. If you can make that happen. I've got a Spitfire jersey waiting to be pulled out of my closet.
I've got my...
what do you got?
I've got my finger on Fanatics waiting to buy the Yazan jersey as soon as he's signed.
I'd print one out. Honestly, I'd have to print out the letters myself. The import tax is too much for me to fly it all the way from London via Fanatics in the US.
I'll buy 8,000 jerseys to make up for the signing fee.
Okay, you're a legend. That would probably be cheaper than a London Spitfire Overwatch League skin with the Overwatch 2 branding. Because I would get that. Not the Overwatch 1, but the Overwatch 2 Tracer with that look. Or give me Jimmy Junker Queen. If Hardy can own on that again, get a chance to see him next season in a new tank like Ramatra, which I teased a few pictures ago. He gives you chalky milk. He will also take down your bully friends who are just trying to get through their day. I need some Ramatra gameplay, but instead, I think I just had a screenshot of the Ramatra punching Kiriko. That's just how powerful that is from the Washington Justice. We'll come back to that proper. Who's next on our list, Sans?
Who is next? Well, we've got the LA Gladiators, who have... I believe they put out a tweet with all the players' contract status, saying that they have released Happy in Space. They declined their team options.
Oh yes.
They extended the team options of Kevster and Funny Astro, and there is the rumored signings of former Atlanta Reign Hitscan Kai and former Atlanta Academy damage player Sugar Free. Now, that makes me feel like an old man seeing Sugar Free turning 18 and being able to finally play in the Overwatch League after sort of semi-retiring to dabble his fingers into Valorant. But this team, I keep saying it about the Glads every year, but Kevster, Funny Astro, Kai, Sugar Free, possibly Shu, possibly keeping Skewed as well. You build yourself like a good tank line around that, or even someone good enough to, solo tank, like, I don't know, say for example Smurf. Then you've got a cracking team. That's title winning, that's championship winning.
You want another championship team, and with their parts, they feel a little bit more frigid because you didn't manage to maintain Paddy Pan's interest in Overwatch. Okay, I digress. He did fantastic in Overwatch League, but there was definitely a lot of pressure to continue performing that he's not feeling when he does this all on his own in Thailand and Valorant.
He went into Overwatch League to get 2 first places on his Wikipedia page and then dipped.
If you dip on that high note, I can't blame you. That's the ballsiest thing you could do, to be able to do so well in 2 regions, 2 different games. In fact, you could say he dominated in Asia as well, because they didn't play many Asia teams in mid-season madness. Traveling to Hawaii, they still slammed them whenever they faced them. So they honestly... Paddy Pan as a whole, ARNS as a whole, playing its proper...
Slammed would be a bit of a overstatement, considering they had a very close 5-match game against the Hangzhou Spark, baby.
Oh, the Hangzhou Spark. They honestly have looked so high up, and the
5 maps against
still managed to punch above them. Yeah, the very competitive Hangzhou Spark.
Glad still managed to make it on top. But, as the season went on, new heroes came out, they sort of, fell off, as some people would say. And it sort of ruined the legacy, and people tend to forget that this team won. They won 2 titles, for crying out loud. This was not a bad team by any stretch of the mark. That's 2 more titles than the San Francisco Shock and the Atlanta Reign last season.
Oh my god.
This was a good team. And they can just build on these, like, top 3 pieces, like, on each of these roles and just win.
It honestly is enough for the LA Glads. They've got a lot to work on, but it's not like they're far behind on how to continue building on their success. It's just what are the pieces that's going to fit this time around. They've still got a couple of months, or technically a week, to announce their 5 players that they need to sign. The minimum 5 is not until the next few months, right?
Minimum 6.
5, and then their 6th player will be till March.
Yeah, I thought you were referring to, like, minimum 5 overall.
Not quite. But the roster building does imply that 6 is the minimum. and then 12 is your maximum. So you can still have like your original Overwatch 1 rosters worth of tanks, but now I think people are quite accustomed to having your backup who covers a lot of other heroes that your former main tank doesn't handle.
Yeah, man.
It could be your off tank and you swap the roles around. That's your predominant tank. Just as long as they're avid and they're capable of playing that Winston, that Diva, that Junker Queen, or the Ramattra is going to be the case next season. So as long as they're ready for that and they've got that main tank or that off tank potential, that whoever leads them, it's going to be fine. As we've learned, it's not that significant of a deal as long as they can adapt. But seeing as some did not adapt so well, at least at the top level, there was only so many that really stood out, that really paired up equally. So hopefully there's more maturity on probably the tank heroes and how much they have to spread out their skills or refine the ones that they're already good at.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Gladiators to sign Fact Fiction as a backup.
Fact Fiction needs to come back again, please. Just do it.
Hell yeah, man.
Do it, Vancouver.
Let's move on to a team that Fact Fiction used to play for, the Los Angeles Valiant. But nobody came.
Nobody came. And nobody returned.
Everybody is gone.
Everybody from 2022, whether it was Coldest, Easyhan, Sarsen, Marvel, Izhan, Becky, Dia, Lengsa, Dia,
player and coach you can
Dia,
think of.
and Molly, Dia. Did I mention Dia?
Not quite. I didn't quite catch that.
Okay. So the Los Angeles Valiant have parted ways with Dia, who was meant to be their saving grace, their star player, and understandably it was a tough season for him to do that, but he was willing to go and pursue his dreams with the LA Valiant. I mean, not like there were other teams that he could have run to. Surely there was a chance on other teams, but he gave this one the choice. No Hill was on here, so a comfortable roster, but it wasn't comfortable. It was not competitive enough.
Yeah.
So you don't reckon there was any pieces they could have kept?
Honestly, they could have very easily kept Dia in the support line and just built an all Chinese team.
But with who? They don't have a coach anymore.
Well, no, they don't.
Actually, I don't know. Anymore. Apparently, in my head, in the headcanon that is LA Valiant Twitter, their team is still intact. They haven't even said farewell to anybody yet, which is a little harsh because it's all been on the Weibo. So I can't believe what just happened. Yep, okay, that's Haru. He to me, in my NA eyes, the LA Valiant still have a roster. Until I speak Chinese and I can translate exactly what those images probably say, I think they're gone. They're gone burgers. And Wikipedia also agrees they must be gone burgers. They didn't even have the Weibo website for the LA Valiant on the Wikipedia page, which is apparently their main communication channel for their localized Chinese team. We still yet to hear any changes to their branding, so I think that's precisely what's going to happen to one of our upcoming teams. They're going to be talking about
Beijing Bears.
The Beijing Bears? No. I had a name for it, but it's now completely been removed from my memory since they continue to call themselves the LA Valiant. I'm fine with that if that means licensing and branding will eventually die down, but just not until they officially are owned by a non-LA franchise.
They could just change the name overnight and pretend like nothing happened if there's any backlash.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
that would be funny.
Yeah.
Shall we go down to
New York
another
Excelsior? This is the name that's come up for me.
New York Excelsior, but nobody came.
Nobody
is here.
I really have nothing for them, I'm afraid, to comment on, because while I do believe Vulcan has gone to a great team in Odyssey, I wonder if he's maybe interested in, signing up with another team that happens to be Odyssey relevant. There may be some Odyssey in the works in the Overwatch League.
That would be one hell of a coincidence.
Yeah. If you're comfortable, I'm happy to transition straight to that team.
I was just about to say about how maybe they could have kept Yaki, but maybe his talent was drained too far, since that is what the New York Excelsior is popular for doing to flex DPS players. I'm totally not bitter about the fact that they ruined Haxal and Yaki, and not Yaki, Haxal and Ivy whatsoever.
Oh, Ivy. Yeah, I wish
man.
that there was another shot for Ivy, but he's not on the top of my
Yeah.
list, which is the biggest problem.
No, I think he's gone to military. Either that or he's just flat out retired, which is gutting.
I believe it was a retirement. Could be wrong.
We can go to Eternal, Paris, Vegas, whatever you want to call them.
Let's
whatever
go
the cool kids
to...
call them nowadays. They released Wob and Crowie. I can't believe it.
And they're still keeping Dove, Lutmiko, and Rakatek and Malfil. I'm just checking in my head, is that correct? Based on your run sheet.
It should be correct. There is always the possibility that they could all just be dropped within the snap of a finger. But given the fact that these are like mostly Odyssey-based players, and they've brought in former, if I've got this correct, Odyssey coach Empress.
That
unless
is
I'm
correct.
making an absolute fool of myself. Oh,
Diana
yeah, she
W.
Odyssey.
She is and was former Washington Odyssey NA contenders. I'm sorry, I've been meaning to look at this face and tell you that this is a very, very big and very impactful signing. I don't feel like I ever give it the justice that it deserves, because she's not on Washington Justice. She deserves respect as probably the first head coach, female in the entire
female
League.
origin.
Of female origin, but is also led by general manager Avala, who you could say is the second of the general managers of that gender, who are incredible. It is just a striking thing to not have more of them.
Doesn't the Gladiators have a female general manager?
Yes. So
Brenda.
Hence the second. Brenda is my personal favorite. Avala second,
Nuki.
being from New Zealand. Empress. Nuki. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have them as the first or second, the way that I described it. But nonetheless, Empress will be exciting. We don't know a whole lot
think she
about
will be.
her outside of contenders, and that's normal. Give her a shot. Give it some time.
She's coached some very successful teams. I think she's a good pickup.
She is a good pickup.
as
If
far as
you look
I
at
can
that, it looks like British
Oh, we
Hurricane
look
to
at
me
that.
in terms of that.
More titles than profit.
And it's very recent titles as well. So this is all after
Exactly.
2020. You think
She's
this is
the GOAT.
Yeah, I can't pump this up. This is definitely the best I've seen in a coach outside of China and Korea having this kind of success. And EU,
Oh, yeah.
like, granted, EU coaching is something I haven't really focused on. This is potential. So, what was all this drama that came up with Faustus, the former Paris Eternal coach?
He
What really
tweeted 3
happened?
letters.
He just said 3 letters. It could have meant lots of love. He could have spun it to be that he really supports this, but it could be differences still that he couldn't get rid of. But he did have to make it about his unfortunate circumstances in which he did not succeed on Paris Eternal. But hopefully, in his words...
What do you mean? They won against New York. I call that a success.
They are invalid. They are invalid to this argument. Women should be built up in this community, regardless of any problems Faustus or Empress have with one another, which is all just their own thing. Didn't mean to air it out that way, and how it came off as maybe not supporting women. It was never that. He does apologize that last season it just didn't work out well. That 1 in 23, that won against New York Excelsior, wasn't even with Faustus as coach. So if you think about it that way, that's why he thinks it's
Faustus
a little
is a
bit
fraud.
unfair to have him called out that way. It was a lull because they just didn't get along that well, and he's out, she's in. How coincidental is that? No irony. That just seems really unfortunate. He got a short end of the stick joining in mid-season. She gets the chance to build up with Avala a really solid Paris Eternal. turn Las Vegas with a Odyssey core. Right now, we don't have the whole Odyssey core, and you're wondering, well, is that going to be worth it? Sign this whole Odyssey team, and who else are they missing?
I don't know. I mean,
Let's have a look. I was just going to go to Dove, and we say
they've
hello
already
to
got
Odyssey.
they've already got the Odyssey damage players and the Odyssey support line. I'm getting a call. One moment.
Sure. Iced, Cyrus, Vega, CJ, Zera, Rhino, and Vulcan. If I come back to Tree is a rock solid DPS on the Odyssey lineup. Vega is also a great support. If you're going to be part of the Las Vegas Eternal, Vega is not even just a joke. It just seems like it just fits the branding so well. It's on point, but he is underage. And no one would sign an Overwatch League player 2 years early. At the very least, if he's a highly desirable, or there's a bidding war going on for NA players, Vega is probably more your best interest in Season 7 on your Season 6 off-season next year. Sure. So after all this, that's when you start signing up these under 18 players who can't really go for the contract, but they can at least give their word that they will be going to this new roster, as was the case with, I think, Gaga and a number of the players turning 18 in previous seasons. They just kind of said, yeah, I'm keen. I don't have any plans. I'm not going to be bidded out for anyone. I'd like a nice spot in the Overwatch League if you're that interested. But I would love to see Vega. Who would they practically pick up?
Traded Decay for OGE?
I do.
Yeah. That was funny.
I mean, how did that go? How did that go for Glads?
It went excellently.
They traded. That's what mattered. The trade went through.
Did trade.
Nobody pulled out. They said this was a great trade.
Granted, both teams won like multiple titles ever since, but you know.
Did it contain either of those players, though?
No.
It's not the most fortunate thing to have to hear, but yes, maybe the transaction was still relatively beneficial.
Exactly. Shall we move on? Oh yeah,
last
James
question.
Gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we see in the Odyssey roster that's of age that could be brought up to Overwatch League? I don't think there's that many, other than the obvious Vulcan, which was brought up as a teaser. Yeah.
What is Rhino available?
No, Rhino's still underage. He was originally one of the youngest. And look at that face. So he hasn't grown at age since we last talked about Rhino as the youngest player. He's now 16, not the youngest.
That is certainly one youngster. I don't know. We probably see Gig from Redbirds. That's one of my predictions. We probably see a Gig Vulcan tank line to build on with just the rest of the players that are currently on the Vegas Eternal as of the 27th of November, 2022.
Yeah, you want a veteran from the former LA Valiant, or just in general a veteran NA player. Gig has been around for so long that he's not retired. He's only spent one season. Maybe 1.5, you want to call it that. But yeah, he doesn't belong in contenders. He's very good at what he does. He could be Overwatch League Devil.
He has the same amount of titles in the Overwatch League as Proper, so that must make him good.
Absolutely does. I just want to see a rivalry that brings this guy up to standard with the rest of the league again. Exactly. I don't see why not. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about a coat tank, and he is alone. If you watch him in Odyssey for the Overwatch Contenders Run It Back series, keep an eye out on Odyssey and see how Gig plays his tank. Do you think he's ready for Overwatch League? Let us know in the Spotify upload. I think it's very...
Let us know on Spotify, let us know on YouTube, let us know on Twitch, let us know on
Twitter.
Change.org. I don't know, let us know on Patreon.
Let us know on Habbo Hotel. All of the social media.
Let us know on Club
VR
Penguin.
Chat. Disney's Toontown Online. Not sponsored. It's just a great
every
game.
message is a penny per letter.
Make sure you share the word on neopets.com.
Exactly. Shall we move on? Next
Yes.
subject. All right. The
Next
Philadelphia
victims.
Fusion. If you look on the stream, the Philadelphia Fusion, I have marked as "Let's fucking go." But
What?
realistically,
Let's fucking go.
yeah, that is sort of my reaction when I woke up and saw all the roster moves.
Explain. So they're keeping their coaching lineup of Roston, general manager Jin, Chara, and Sungmin.
Yes, we saw when I woke up. After seeing the sad news that Carpe had retired for Valorant, which was fair enough since it's sort of way past his prime at an Overwatch League level. I went to sleep and I woke up and I saw that the Philadelphia Fusion had also released Aim God, Belosria, Fixer, and Fury. And to see that they had also kept their superstar DPS line of MN3 and Zest. Now, if I was in the boots of the general manager, that is the... Don't, man, you're going to make me cry. That is the exact moves that I would be making, because you've got these two players that are like star quality. Like you could make an argument that they're a top 5 damage line, or a top 5 damage duo in the entire league, and it would not be, a slanderous take to make, because they are just that good. But throughout the entire season, they've been surrounded by inconsistent mediocrity, which a lot of that has not been their fault or the Fusion's fault at all, after, their best player had to involuntarily retire. So this year, going into this year's season 6 as a fan of the Philadelphia Fusion, you should be very excited, because having these two brilliant players built around a championship core with all of the amazing free agents that are just roaming around the ocean of the Overwatch League right now, this year could be the year the Fusion fans don't feel annual sadness. They might be able to smile for the first time in 5 years. And
Are you telling me the smile isn't genuine from MN3 when he got signed?
Fusion fans, not Fusion players. I have no doubt
that
I have no doubt that the staff within the Fusion organization are not keeping their... Sorry, I forgot how I worded that. There's no doubt in my mind that the Fusion staff are taking excellent care of their players, given every circumstance that has been thrown at them possible.
Yeah, it goes without saying that of all the Overwatch League players that could be nominated at the Esports PC Rookie of the Year, as much as people have different weightings on just how impactful he was, at least for the time that they had to submit these teams, Zest was definitely trending upwards. And whether you still think that way, I think he is definitely going to deliver this next season.
He deserved it.
He absolutely deserves to represent Overwatch League.
As brilliant as Proper is, Proper does sort of have like top tier players in every single role. Zest only has one top tier player on his team. Everyone else is just mediocre at best. So, I feel like a broken record. Surrounding him with a team sort of like the San Francisco Shock, or like the Seoul Dynasty, or even like the Toronto Defiant, and he's going to shine. The whole team's going to shine, and It could be the season. It could be the year.
It could be the
I'm
one.
going on. It could be the one. I'm going on a tangent. Let's move on to a boring
Yeah.
team.
I'm sorry if that made you tear up inside, because that's a moment for Carpe to really be honored for 5 years of service. No retirement of Jersey. Maybe he might come back if the Valorant thing doesn't work out. But I think he's kind of all set then.
I mean, they could always just unretire the jersey, like Jake's jersey. You know, that's easy enough to do.
I see.
The San Francisco Shock have released, unsurprisingly, Sam, Mikey, Striker, Kaluj, Kilo, and assistant coach Casoras, who we'll get to eventually. Half of these signings make sense, departures make sense, especially as it's rumored that the Shock is going full Korean. If they're signing any more Western player, wait, no, what am I saying? Kaluj is going to be a part of the whole shenanigans.
We're getting there shortly. We're almost there. The way has been definitely rough. If we can just spend a bit more time on Shocks.
I almost forgot about that. Maybe Kaluj gets up to some shenanigans with Casaurus. I wonder what. Who knows? Kilo goes into free agency, which, to be honest, I don't understand.
It works either.
You know, I think if Kilo's got a chance to stay on a team like the Shock with proper Finn, Violet, and the rumored pickups of like Max and Heesan, you know, why would you want to leave? You know, that like core is absolutely massive. You know, maybe you I don't know if they add another main support or a main tank to that lineup, but maybe they don't need to. Violet's Lucio has been, I don't want to say serviceable, because he has actually been quite good this year. I mean, you could argue that there's been a bit of a main support drought, but even then, he's managed to overcome that, and he's managed to look good on the main support role. And Max is supposedly quite good on main tank heroes. So, do the Shock really need more players to build around?
No, but I have a question. I have a question. Is it more a case that is not when, but will they sign Max from O2 Blast, cross promote him to the org, just like that? There's going to be like bidding wars. They just have that first
priority. There is supposed to be a bidding war, but a lot of people are going along the assumption that Max is going to the Shock. Maybe he goes to the Dragons or the Dynasty. I don't know, but the Shock is just like, the Shock is the obvious choice.
That's definitely not the Max I'm talking about. It's the one from O2 Blast. Heralded by O2 Boss, the coach of O2 Blast. He's had such a successful career, but there's no signs of him ever being picked up by the Overwatch League. And with Shock letting them continue to operate, I think that's fine. That's fine, because as far as what he needs and what he can do, bringing up the talent from Overwatch contenders is probably what he's best at. And as long as there's funding from Shock to allow that to happen, then he's saying Viper, Max, Bliss, and Babel are still probably the top and only highest performing players in contenders that those players will be bought out by, guarantee, and their many different signings. Cleston, yes, Cleston, all players who we've seen on London Spitfire.
And I'd say Hidden from Pantera.
Oh yes, Panther has looked surprisingly good. Sam Prizza Gaming has also looked fantastic. But I would say SLT, some of these lower teams across the closed qualifiers. Jasmine is actually really good. This dude is pretty good on his tanks. If you want to give someone a go, many of these teams will go for those like third and fourth options in Korea, and they will be given a very very generous opportunity to be picked up by other teams.
I mean,
Not out of the question. Team Diamond, nobody is picking them up. Panthera, T1, Talon, those are the common brand names.
I'm just saying, look at Team Diamond's results before they lost Teru and after they lost Teru. that's all I'm saying.
That sums it up, my friend. Samprisa Gaming 3-0 on their group, O2 Blasts. It's without a doubt very surprising that Samprisa has the higher map differential than O2. But you can look at this spoilers grand finals, O2 Blast versus T1 from Not Run It Back. This is the previous B-Sides contenders tournament.
Yeah,
and they just honestly look very good. Stayed up in the top of the brackets. T1 ran it back, but with the situation they had, Top Dragon looked good in Talon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shall we...
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's... I mean, we could talk about contenders all day long, all night long, all morning long. Time zone moment.
Let's get to the biggest one. Shanghai.
Yeah, that
is the
big boy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Let's break it down.
John.
That looks like everybody.
Fleta,
Fete,
Bebe, Void, Who Are You, Lee J. Gon, and Lip.
Coaching stuff.
I forgot Izayaki. But yeah, Izayaki's there as well, and all of their coaching staff. You know, head coach and chef Moon, Damon, Kong, and Pavani. They're all gone as well. The Shanghai Dragons are really building from the ground up. Now, does this team still try for next year? That's what I'm wondering. Because
if any of the developing Chinese teams have anything to say, yes, they've got not a lot of options to try and make the best of the best, but you could still snipe all the kinds of players that you want at this point. They could go all Chinese. They might as well just go all Korean because just like their contenders team,
there's a lot of all Chinese teams. You know, I mean, there's good talent within Chinese contenders, but eventually, you know, you've got a lot of teams, you know, like, you know, Chengdu, possibly Hangzhou and Guangzhou, you know, even the Valiant, you know, like sinking their fingers in all that Chinese talent. Eventually, the pool's just going to dry out. Yeah, I think maybe you could pick up like one or two good pieces and then just... I'd be primarily focused on making the roster full Korean. Like,
you could just be playing it safe, as you have all the revenue to just look at what is it that worked. Their signings were actually very impactful. Maybe not in the last few seasons because they didn't manage to retain Erster. He didn't have a spot in 2021. In 2022, no different with Bebe.
Oh, yeah.
To be frank,
not when
you had Izayaki.
It's very possible that they just use the bag that they managed to achieve from trading Lip to the Atlanta Reign, and they just build another... I wouldn't go as far as to say super team, but they combine some like reasonably priced talent from contenders. Maybe they sign, I don't know, a Hidden and Spectra damage line, and they see some good like free agents within the league for tank and support, and they just build that damage line around some really good tank and support players. Maybe win another title.
What kind of coaching is going to make that happen? Because it's all well and good to say. Yeah, it's going to be no hill. It has to be now. I'm struggling to see that happen, but there's no reason why they wouldn't finally give him like the easiest promotion from their Valiant contract, because no hill being stuck in his own room and housing 3 of the 4 Chinese players and then just having, you know, team meetings in the same room that he sleeps in. You could just give him a ensuite bathroom, and that's already a full upgrade to his existing lifestyle. But send this guy to a home base like in Guangzhou or Shanghai, and Shanghai's base is fully decked out. They had issues throughout the season. I think that's all sorted out with their networking issues and their early on struggles, thanks to having such a decked out HQ. It kind of looks like a space station, but it's just a gamer pad. It's a crib. I wish I had photos I could just bring out on the fly. But it's a place that No-Hill needs to be in, like a proper presence with the team.
Yeah.
Stop making him remote because he's not going to get the full value. If Shanghai Dragons going to bring him in, they are going to do that. If they don't,
that would be a huge pickup.
missed opportunity to start a Chinese hybrid roster and build it again from the top down. I can't wait. That's Shanghai in a nutshell, with absolutely no players to talk about.
It's certainly one way of like bringing in Dia as like an easy pickup. You know, that would be like massive to see Dia back on the Dragons. But other than that, there's not really much to talk about other than it really being like the end of an era. No more
It is.
Dede.
5 seasons and it
the other kids as well.
no more. I was going to say, no more Kong. No more Coach Kong from Shanghai Dragons.
Although, as
interim of Blossom, and he came back to Shanghai.
As Reiner said, in the words of Reiner, you know, the championship was won without him in the league, so it was a Mickey Mouse championship. So
wacky.
I guess we got to move on.
We do. I don't want to forget that we had a Seoul Dynasty in this season.
Exactly.
The most important question to ask before we get to any of the players is: did Toby do a good job as head coach?
I think that I'd like to say that he did. I think that the decision making that he made for each player in the team, you know, and giving each player like enough play time, I might have liked to see. Might be a hot take, but I might have liked to see Stalker play over Prophet a little bit more in some certain cases. But other than that, you know, Coach Toby, I'd like to say he did a solid job with. I mean, it's a little hard to fail given the insane amount of talent that he had, but you know, he didn't fail.
Yeah, he was still streaky, but when the streak happened, he never dropped it when it mattered at that match point for the kickoff clash. That's the biggest highlight, honestly. Being placed in the tournament and playoffs is well and good, but now how do you keep going? I think you just have to rebuild around him again, because I don't see him quitting. I don't see him stopping after one kickoff clash.
Possibly.
It is very well the case that they're setting him for one big announcement.
Yeah, they did questionably enough release Fitz, Smurf, Vindame, and Iris, and they also traded Stalker over to the Atlanta Reign. Now, this I just flat out do not understand. Like, I may be a little bit out of the loop around these parts. You know, I like to think of myself staying in the loop, but is there any, like, budget reasons as to why the best roster that the Seoul Dynasty has had in franchise history is just being nuked? Because I don't have a good explanation for it.
I'm afraid there isn't one right now. Not one that's concrete, as say all the rumors that we've talked about. There's been no real clarification here, and I don't think anybody will be able to tell you unless you are Arnold, Kent, or Wizard Hyung. But Wizard Hyung is different because you have to ask him a question that you genuinely want to know, and he's not going to give you the truthful answer. He will do you a three lies, one truth kind of game. I said 2 truths and 1 lie to give me a chance to figure out which one's not true, but he'll just give you 3 instead. Hey, look, that's a bonus. 3 lies and 1 truth with Wizard Hyung. If I ever have him as a guest, I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see that episode.
Yeah, I love how a Lime Scooter managed to become a scout for this roster. Yeah, look.
Yeah.
He's done good, but just not in a sense that you put on paper in the league-wise. He has found some good talent that you just kind of scour around. Maybe summon ladder like Jonak. but that was Nixel's doing, then Seoul Dynasty be able to pick him up. Do we see
Exactly.
Jonak returning from the grave?
That
he said-
that would be a brilliant return.
While he
I've
is a
got
content creator essentially for the Seoul Dynasty, I think he really does want to come back, and I think there was an LFT from him not so long ago when all the players were interested.
Like Hacksaw Bumper, but like I don't think there was any recent LFT. No.
No, it was just a retweet. That was my mistake. Ignore the abs that we're seeing, not just from Junker Queen, but from Sabiobi.
Ah,
Yeah, it was just Max.
they're very hard to ignore.
They
I must
are.
say. Let's. I don't think
now
I've got
move.
much longer, so
No, me neither.
let's dive into the meat and potatoes with the Toronto Defiant. Everybody is gone. You know, the Toronto Defiant have gone through their annual roster implosion, and they've gone through with signing former San Francisco Shock assistant coach Casoras as their head coach. And what has heavily been rumored is that the Toronto Defiant is picking up a certain former North American contenders Titan team as their core.
Oh
the entire
yeah, like the AT crew, Angry Titans.
I absolutely love the Angry Titans.
American Tornado, everybody. We got a chance to bring them back. Who is the American Tornado? You probably have not been paying attention to the Overwatch contenders in NA for a very, very long time.
Yeah. The squad of former American Tornado players that is reported to be signed is supposed to be Hydron, Sam, Speedily, Kaluge, Reiner, OG, and Ultraviolet.
Yeah, so
After seeing the success that they've brought into the Overwatch League,
they've got 2/3 of them.
This is a damn good roster. You know,
One might say that Colin Arai, aka Kaluge now, should just go back to Cucumber, just for the lols.
that would be funny.
That would be really good. Like, imagine just getting diffed by a Cucumber. That's kind of like the shtick, I guess. Because why else would you want to name yourself Cucumber than for the silly elimination tag that says that you've been taken out by a vegetable?
Cucumbers are actually a fruit.
I was going to say, if you're going to correct me, I'm going to be so mad because you're absolutely right. It's a fruit. The cucumber's a fruit. But I want a jersey that says cucumber and want it to look really, really unironic with the black and red.
Can you not get contenders like jerseys on Fanatics?
No, jerseys from Fanatics are only Overwatch League Tier 1 teams.
Got you.
But look, this is the team that we're talking about here. Formerly called Tier 2 Drama Alert Nation. We've had an interview with Hydron, which still is probably the cleanest thing you could watch. Really reset yourself back to 2022, from the beginning of the season. I implore you to have a listen exclusively on Spotify. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Make sure you follow because we'll upload this episode there as well. Now, what would that look like? Overwatch.
I would. American Tornado. Well, like Kaluge found a lot of success on the Shock. Reiner found a lot of success on the Gladiators. All these players have just shown that they can compete at the Overwatch League level. And putting them all together, I've got to say, actually looks quite scary. They could punch for like a stage title. Maybe if the meta is right for them, they could punch for a championship.
I'll take a punch at that.
Anything could happen.
The Tornado
You know,
Defiant, the American Defiant, whatever you want to go. Your spin on it is as good as the Elephant
Toronto
Mystic
Tornado.
Dallas Fuel that I was trying to sell back 2 years ago. It's no different. This is a team that does have great, brighter potentials than their combined success would imply on the lower end, because it's the top end that matters the most with Kaluge.
Yeah.
You could say Hydron, you could absolutely say OG and Ultraviolet have held up pretty darn well. What they need is their former players to back them up and give them that peak. Let's see it. I want to see it happen.
Agree.
Any last words for Toronto?
It would be fun to
Till we
see.
at least hear more information from them?
Well, no, because I need to go in like 10 minutes. But
Okay.
like the right meta suits them. They're a flexible enough team, but like to me, every team last season, there was no best team. It was all heavily dependent on the meta, which is why you saw like Gladiators on top one tournament and the Dallas Fuel on top the next tournament. You know,
Yeah.
So it's all really based on meta, and in the right meta, this team can win a championship. Maybe they will.
They have to be as adaptable as they were back in Tier 2 Drama Alert Nation days.
It would be funny for them to prove me wrong after I said that they would be no better than the 2021 London Spitfire.
Oh, you're really gonna put them back down that level. If you did, they even confess.
They're not gonna be
casually,
down
they're
to
not
that
taking it seriously. They would probably be disappointed in getting second place again, but they better get ready for it. So I think they would be in top contention. But if they're not, if other teams aren't prepared for how early they're playing together back again in the off season, these guys are gonna go absolutely nuts, or they have to settle it out and they're gonna go through some kind of
They're going to be good.
challenge. Titans dropped a whole lot. So I'm going to temporarily rename them from the Vancouver Titans to the Vancouver Aspire. It's just one man running this show on the DPS lineup. And that's all you need, really, if you're Vancouver. If you can carry along the toe, you can toe the line, and your name is Aspire, I think you can do it. Your name screams aspiration.
I agree. Like, all of these players, I can 100% understand why they've been released. Deepay, I assume he wanted to go. I mean, when your team's sort of like, when you're paying for your players' meals out of your own pocket, I think that's when you look for a new team.
Oh my God, really?
I think that's what it hinted at in his tweets, as well as the fact that he didn't even get his own jersey. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, so I'm not going to throw too much shade. But I'm just going off what he tweeted. It didn't sound pretty. But that aside, building around Aspire, this could be what I expected them to be last year. I mean, last season.
True.
Except, better. Because Aspire is genuinely a very solid player. Like, some people have looked at me like I've got 5 heads when I try and tell them that Aspire is a A-tier hit scan. Which, to be fair, he really is. He's consistently, essentially deadlifted a team that has been dead in the water, both, no offense, but both player-wise and coaching-wise, at least for one half of the season. And whether the team's been on a high rise, it's been primarily because of Aspire, just putting the entire team on his back. And whenever they've been down in dumps, you could always just see Aspire shining through, doing his absolute hardest to make his presence known and succeeding.
I certainly don't doubt that. The last thing that I wanted to screen grab, and whether it's appropriate to show because it's a deleted tweet, I do have to say, healthcare, jersey, a team event. Surely, I mean, just something to group up the team together, have a bonding experience. meals, and then just doing that from the beginning does tell
what I
me
was referring to.
the branding needs to stop working against them. It's not because that they don't want to do that, it's because that's the kind of situation you're putting them in. Let's see, No Hill's not complaining, but DP's definitely had it bad. It's not good for professional esports to run that way. And if there's not going to be any funding, they got to work on that for next season. If that means a smaller roster,
Coaches.
make it happen.
Exactly.
Titans, we don't think that you deserve this, but you really got to start putting the organization into a little doggy bag and taking it away.
That's true. One last team.
The Washington Justice.
Washington Justice. But nobody came.
Okay. You want my honest opinion about this with the all-Korean roster they've been trying for the last 2 years and not succeeding? The first letter in Washington Justice. What letter is it?
L.
Lashington Lustus. I thought it was Wash Justice.
Yeah, it's W.
They've completely done the wash part. And so now that they could probably do that a third time and going local again, bringing some more NA talent, I don't know who could design that. Who? If not Pre, if not Kieran Phil, who's just a vice president. You know, weren't we talking about someone from accounting who would be playing their sixth player? Because they technically had 5 players for the mid-season.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, no, so it shows 6 here. That's their bare minimum, but I'm pretty sure that they needed another player during the mid-season when they did drop Happy, Vigilante, and Mag. Or to be sold, so at least they could get something out of it. But it looks like they're also underwater, much like Vancouver Titans. And it's disappointing to see that at the bottom end of the alphabet. I want it to end on a high note, but can Washington do that if they haven't won a tournament or gotten as close to third or second place in such a long time?
Given who they're rumored to be signing, I don't think they will. If the Washington Justice are going to be signing the team or the players that I think they're going to be signing, they're going to be down there with the Vegas Eternal. If the leaks are true, you know,
I think I would need to know what is being leaked about this team. Who would they sign? Because I feel like it feels like it will be a completely different Washington Justice. Now we said that twice now.
Yeah, it is a very different Washington Justice.
We said this in their season 2 debut, and now
are you familiar?
To the roster.
Are you familiar with European contenders team Peps?
Team Peps.
I've
heard the name.
Players such as Logix, Naga, Ben Best, and FD God.
I gotta say, this is not what I was expecting.
That is supposed to be the sort of core that they have been leaked to have shown a lot of interest in, particularly Ben Best and FD God.
Yes, I think that would be appropriate, but not for the reasons that I would have thought, but like to bring back French players on an org who I don't even know who the head coach could possibly be. It could be Fefe, it could be Mays, it could be literally
probably like the main shout.
Yeah, I feel like Fefe is going to be promoted into this roster to be able to run something like that. And I'm okay with it. It's just I hadn't anticipated any changes to their roster being American, which would be the most predictable thing to do if they're moving away from an all-Korean imports.
The Parish Justice.
I can't see it in other than the red, white, and blue that's in the Washington Justice logo. You see, I don't think there's any representation of France here until they bring it. And if they bring it, let's get it. Let's see a whole new European roster come out from the ashes from their lowest power rankings to date since their Season 2 debut. Which I think, if you had to compare it, like how much lower can you get if you're already 20th in that season?
I mean, assuming that the Justice do just sign the entirety of Team Peps, you know, unless Get Amazed pulls a 2021 Paris Eternal out of his ass, they're going to be the worst team, most likely.
It's not the greatest note to end on, but this is what it's like being this uncertain in the postseason. Hopefully we get more news. Hopefully we also get some more announcements and signings as December comes in. So everybody keep your eyes, ears, your tweets open if Twitter is still alive, which I'm convinced it still is. So go nuts.
If it's not, just move to Hive like all the cool kids.
Mastodon, Hive, it's time to see if we get any updates there before it actually matters. But just like us, that's it. We don't matter here at this point of the evening. Thank you so much, Sans. 3 a.m., 4 a.m. for you?
3 a.m.
Just casually 3 a.m. At least you're finally on Sunday time. I gotta wrap up. A worthy time to capture a moment in Overwatch postseason history. It's great to share it with you.
Exactly.
Keep your eyes peeled. See you next month, indeed. Fingers crossed we'll be a little sooner with another update on the postseason. Thanks, everybody.
Possibly.
Coach 94, Kong, Coach Moon, number 5. It's been 5 years into this Overwatch League season. Thank you all. It's great seeing you.